the whole month, Tim. So
Yeah,
what is it going to be like? What is it going to be?
Kalshi thinks 100% chance almost of it's going to be 25 basis points,
With
right?
exception.
That's the prediction change we've seen this week. Yesterday it was 98%. Today, 99%, nearly 100% chance that they're going to cut.
And now we can see gold trading at 3,994. What do you expect, Tim? Gold is going to rally when the decision drops?
It's come off the highs a little. The whole question is this 25 basis points already priced into these markets? The equity markets in the US are all-time highs. Have we already priced in this rate cut? There might be another one in December where we start focusing on that. So it could be an as expected result today. So don't think that we will necessarily go higher, even if we get this 25 basis points on US equity. The jury's out. You know, is there still a bit more consolidation to do in gold? Could we go down to 3790 or something like that? Dollar's stable against the yen, a little bit lower against the CNH that we talked about last time, a little bit higher.
And Tim, let's address the big elephants in the room. So this data is about to come live while the government is still shut down.
Yeah. So that doesn't affect the Fed's decision making. It just affects the data that they use to make the decision. So they're going to have to wait next time for the unemployment results. And as Fed Chairman Powell said last time, his focus is now on the employment market rather than inflation. Okay, here we go. Any second now we should get the results.
So the decision is about to come out. القرار يا جماعة اكتبوا لنا في اللايف chat. 25 نقطة 50 نقطة. What is it going to be? 25 point basis cuts? Is it going to be 50?
Very unlikely that we get 50, but let's see. Any second
if it's
going
to be 50, gold is going to fly.
All right, everyone said their piece. Let's see.
Let's see.
Counting down now. 10, 9, 8.
What is it going to be?
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What's the decision?
نخش شير سكرين مويد. What is it going to be? We're looking at the data now. What is it going to be?
I haven't seen anything yet. They're still waiting on Bloomberg. They're still waiting on CNBC. Wow, where's the decision?
What is it?
This is new. No decision yet. Breaking news, here we come.
Official labour market data, and still to be looking to cut interest rates with inflation around 3.
We're seeing Bloomberg TV now.
Tilt of a traditional Fed meeting. Maybe it's
seeing CNBC now.
That Fed decision just around the corner. Let's check it.
25 basis points.
25 basis points. الفدرالي قطع الفائدة ب 25 نقطة يا جماعة.
In the bond market on 2s, 10s and 30s.
No, not
is it 25, Tim?
Yeah, it's 25.
By 2 basis
So,
points.
as expected,
on 10s. With that Fed decision, here's
right. US equity markets have done nothing on that. Gold is a little bit lower, 3983.
Let's see the market reaction now. What's happening with gold?
December 1st.
So down a little bit. The high today was 4023. Now we're down at 3983.
3 3/4 and
so a little bit lower. No big moves on this. So
no big moves at all, but we can see gold making a. So I think it's going to be like the last rate cut decision. Last cut in September, the market didn't react immediately, but then we saw that effects took place a few days after, and we saw what happened to gold breaking all-time highs again and again and again. اللي كنت أقوله يا جماعة ما شفنا ردة الفعل المباشرة الشهر اللي راح في يوم 17 سبتمبر على الذهب أو الدولار، لكن شفنا ردة الفعل بعدها بيومين 3 أيام. شفنا إيش صار في الذهب، حقق أرقام قياسية وقياسية وقياسية، والآن زي ما أنتم شايفين حركتهم شوية على جنب. الذهب جالس يتذبذب ما في أي ردة فعل لأنه متوقع إنه راح يقطع الفائدة ب 25 نقطة أساس. Now, what's really crazy, Tim, about all of this. نرجع للشاشة الأولى. I don't know if you can see my screen. But
Yeah.
Trump is not in the US. Trump in an Asian tour, right? And as I don't know, but Trump was earlier or yesterday dancing in Malaysia. You can see him.
Look, he's doing wonderful work, right? He's solving wars. He's up to 8 or 9 wars already. If you want to start another war this week, he can fix it by Friday, right? He's signing off trade deals, signed off with South Korea, signed off with Malaysia. Now comes the big one, the meeting with President Xi of China tomorrow.
So, you know, this Fed rate decision is coming just in a day or in a few hours actually before Trump meets with the Chinese president, which is absolutely unique. And what's really special about what's happening now in the market with all these drama, the government shut down, Powell's under pressure, Trump is hammering him right, left and center. You're too slow. You're the enemy of the people. But now Trump is busy. Let me just play the video again. He's dancing in Malaysia.
You know, he'll be happy because when he got to Japan, they gave him 6 golden golf balls and the putter that his old friend, President Abe, used when playing golf. So they really scored a big hit there. You know, Trump loves golf, right? He's going to try and play golf wherever he goes if he could. But he's on a bit of a schedule this week. He's having to work this week for a living, right?
Yep. So it's very interesting what's happening right now in the market. 25 basis point. This is the decision that was almost inevitable. It was happening regardless. Whatever happens, it was expected. Like even my grandma knows that he's cutting rates by 25.
When your taxi driver tells you, did you know the Fed's going to cut rates by 25 basis points tonight? Then you know it's going to be a little bit as expected, right? But there's one more Fed meeting to come this year, right? On the 9th and 10th of December.
So we've got 2 more, actually. No?
No, one more on the 9th and 10th of December.
9th and 10th of December.
Next year. Yeah.
So in 2 days in a row. So the next interest rate decision يا جماعة الخير راح يصير في الشهر القادم. 9 and 8th of December, Tim, right?
Yeah, 9th and 10th. So
9 and 10th.
Powell could be playing it a little bit cagey here, right? He could be saying, okay, we'll give you the 25 basis points as expected in November, but you have to wait and see for December. If there's any little sniff of inflation, maybe I'll hold off until the January meeting or something like that. Because remember, the market's pricing in more rate cuts for next year as well. Right. They think that by the end of this year, we get the rates down to 3.5, 3.75. That would mean another cut of 25 basis points in December.
So, according to Clashy, they're expecting 2 more cuts. So that's a total of 50 basis points before the end of this year.
So would he have to do 50 in December? Maybe if the employment market is starting to really show signs of cracks. But where's he going to get the data from? The government's closed. The official statistics can't be published, right? They got that ADP thing, which is trying to become a bigger indicator. But what's the truth? Where are they going to get the numbers from? How can you? It's flying blind again, right? For the next
very blind.
Yeah. So let's see what he says when the press conference starts shortly. These days are always about 2 things: the release of the news and the press conference after, right? So, as usual, Chair Powell's going to have to walk a tightrope between being dovish or hawkish. And what's he going to say about the December meeting? He's going to get a lot of questions from the journalists. He's going to get questions about who dissented in the decision. Did Mr. Trump's new board member, Moran, vote for 50 this time and again didn't get it this time? Oh, it's going into next year when Powell's going to be replaced. So the interviews are underway. Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, has been interviewing for new candidates to take over from Chair Powell. But that's not till May next year. And Powell he's a dogged fighter, right? He's in there fighting his corner, doing what he thinks is right, despite so much pressure from Trump.
Right. And all of this is happening with the government being shut down. Very dramatic. I mean, the decision, they cut rates by 25 basis points, and not such a big movement or reaction to the market as we can see now with gold, DXY, equity market, even crypto. Not much is happening.
No, they're waiting for the press conference now. They want to see direction, and they want to see, has Powell got some concerns about the market, the labor market. I mean, it could be that we're coming to a new place in the world where we have 3% growth or 3% inflation, but we also have 5% unemployment, because you saw this week Amazon was laying off 15,000 workers, right? 15,000 due to AI, the increased use of AI. So is that where we're going now, that more people will be unemployed, but these huge companies, the Mag 7, will be making lots of money because we're going into an AI world? Right. That's the other thing that's going to happen today. After the bell, some of the big Mag 7 companies are going to report their earnings, right? So watch out for that, because even if the Fed rate decision doesn't move the markets much, those after the bell results could move it tomorrow.
Right. And Tim, as the government being shut down, the White House just tweeted this video, and let me just play it out. So البيت الأبيض غرد هذا الفيديو عن ترامب وهو يمثل شخصية بيكي بلايندرز. شيء جدا مضحك وعجيب. فخلينا نشاهد الفيديو سوا على اساس انه الحكومه الفدراليه مغلقه وانه هو ترامب توماس شيلبي. خلينا نشاهد الفيديو سوا. Let's watch the video together, Tim. Funny Trump. I mean, he's got that aura. You gotta give it to him, right? The man's got this aura. The man got this outstanding character, unique personality. Funny at times, stupid at times. Sometimes you want to just, smack your phone at the television. And sometimes you just laugh watching him speaking.
How many new handsets have you had since he got re-elected?
Oh man, yeah, it was challenging at the start of the year, to be fair. I'm not gonna lie. We faced some obstacles, but here is the key in the financial market. If you are flexible, if you adapt to changes quickly, and you never give up, and you're always patient, and you believe in yourself, you're gonna get that, you're gonna get that edge. You're gonna get to the finish line, definitely. And that's what happened with us at the start of the year when he took over, came back to the office. Because we almost forgot how the market was reacting when Trump was in the office. Really. Because, we had Biden for 4 years and, we were sleeping with him. Then Trump comes back.
Sleepy Joe, right?
Sleepy Joe. I was just thinking yesterday, right? Like, I don't know how the Democrats, they've been letting Biden in the office. They really humiliated him. Like, it's clearly the old man got some issues. It was so bad on their behalf. They could have protected him. Protected the party, maybe.
When you're old and it's time to go, it's time to go. So why do they keep him on? And Kamala, when she finally took over as the sole candidate, it's only 2 or 3 months before the election, right? What time did she have? She was interviewed this week in London saying she might like to run again, right? But is she a strong candidate this time around? Who else have the Democrats got? Trump is so powerful. There's some stories on, you've probably seen Steve Bannon talking about Trump should have a 3rd term, right? Which is against the Constitution.
Trump denied it. He says, I know what's happening. I saw, they interviewed him today in the Air Force. And he denied it.
There's a loophole where if he became vice president or something, then maybe JD or somebody else would step in as president and keep the dynasty going, right? But maybe they're going to change the constitution. That would be a big one, right? That would take months. But
Tim, you know what's really interesting? Right, we spoke about this early on, maybe a couple of months ago on these live shows. And we talked that Trump, he likes a weak dollar. He actually likes a weak dollar because he can pay off the debts much quicker. And very interesting, recently, like very, very recent, he got asked this question by the press. And here is his answer about a weak dollar. Let's watch it. I'm putting it on the screen.
Why has the dollar fallen so much, and are you concerned about that?
Well, you know, I'm a person that likes a strong dollar, but a weak dollar makes you a hell of a lot more money. Hate to tell you, I don't know if you study it, but I study it. And if you look at the yen...
I went to Japan and worked, so I know this.
You understand?
Absolutely.
Oh, you did go to Japan?
I went to work, yes,
well,
sir.
That means you're a smarter guy than I even thought, and I know you're smart. So when we have a strong dollar, one thing happens. It sounds good. But you don't do any tourism. You can't sell tractors. You can't sell trucks. You can't sell anything. It is good for inflation. That's about it. And we have no inflation. We've wiped out inflation. But it's an interesting question. So I will never say I like a low currency, but you remember the battles I had with the yuan, with China and with Japan, Japan being the yen. They always wanted a weak currency. They're trying to get a weak currency now. Now, it doesn't sound good, but you make a hell of a lot more money with a weaker dollar. Not a weak dollar, but a weaker dollar than you do with a strong dollar.
Your thoughts, Tim, on his comments?
Yeah.
He says he likes a strong dollar, but there is pros to having a weak dollar, sorry.
you see, no leader will ever come out and say, "Oh, no, we just want a weak currency. You know, just please kill our currency." Especially not if you're the reserve currency for the world, right? So the official line is always, "Oh, we prefer a strong dollar." But as you say, if you've got deficits to pay and interest rates are still high, because Trump would like the interest rates down to 2% again, right? Not 3.5%.
No, actually, as low as 1%, you know.
yeah. Then he stands a chance of paying off these deficits, right? So has he been talking to the Asian leaders this week? I would love to have been a fly on the wall in that meeting between the new Japanese Prime Minister, Sanae Takaichi. She traditionally would be in the camp of a weaker yen, which would be a higher dollar. So maybe they've agreed to just steady the markets a little bit in dollar yen, you know, stop it going above 153.15 a couple of times already. Maybe there's some intervention to force it into a lower range. There's that gap on the weekend when she was elected, if you remember, between 147 and 149, and we haven't filled that gap yet. Traditionally, those gaps get filled. So if there are more comments about a weaker dollar, maybe we'll go back down and fill that gap as the first action, and then find a new range between 147 and 153, something like that. You can see that people are putting the carry trade on again this week. They've been buying Mag 7 stocks. They pay for it by borrowing in yen, selling the yen, buying the dollars, paying for the Mag 7 stock in dollars, right? So you see that sometimes, that dollar yen goes up on the days when it probably should go down. So, yeah, if the stock market cracks, if the NASDAQ cracks, then watch out for dollar yen to go lower, because people would have to buy back the yen to settle their debts. Watch out for that.
Absolutely interesting, Tim. Let's switch off to the screen, please. And, you know, despite all the madness in the market, let's quickly review our performance for this month, October, which has been so far the best trading month for tech. So well done. So let's have a look together. Let's review the performance together.
Sure.
So let's start with the PAM, the latest PAM, which we launched. We launched in April, right? Just at the start of the tariffs war, which Trump started, of course. So since April, actually the 15th of April, until today, 10.76%. Actually, 10.92% this year. And with a winning ratio of trades, 78% winning trades versus 22 losing trades since the spam of the account started. The strategy started on this account, and we can see April 1.21, May 1.31, June 0.40, July 0.64. You expect that because it was the summer. August 1.29, September 1.98, October 3.65, which is absolutely glorious.
I mean, you can see the trend. If you had to pick the worst moment to start, it would be when the tariffs were just under discussion and being revealed, right? So for it to survive in April, May, and June just tells you how strong it is on the risk management side, because it's made money those months by not losing money, right?
Absolutely.
Those are the characteristics of the algo. Now, when volatility is picking up, it's coming out of its shell a bit and it's making money. And it's not worried about losing money because there are trends for it to go after. There are moves coming. There are setups that it detects if it's the gold algo or something like that. It's finding those profitable opportunities because of the better volatility now, right?
Right. Let's switch over to the gold algo. Since February, when it was first launched, until today, till this day, 61%.53. Absolutely gorgeous. And wait for the best part. With a drawdown of 7.22%. Nukut. MashaAllah.
Yeah. I mean, we've been singing the song of gold the whole year, right? We started telling people to buy when it was below $3,000. We had a real big recommendation about 4 podcasts ago around the 3,200 mark. We gave targets. It reached our 4,000 target. It got so close to my 4,420 target. It was just 45 pips away that day, reaching a high of 4,375 before we had this retracement, right?
Right.
So it's still out there. I still want to see 4,420. I've still got a bit of year left, right? But the gold algo is doing an outstanding job.
And you know what's the interesting part? The fascinating part about speaking gold, right? Gold has achieved year to date 52%. Tick algo trading gold 61%. So we've beaten gold, guys.
Yeah. So you're beating the straight line graph, right, of 52% because it's buying and it's selling. It's getting the retracements as well. That's the sign of a great algo, when it gets the retracements as well as the primary moves. Then we can be impressed. And there's still a lot of movement to come in gold, we think. Goldman Sachs changed their recommendation. $8,000 by the end of this year was the change the other day. So still some confidence in buying gold.
Right.
Goldman Sachs.
Goldman Sachs
we haven't seen that central buying.
Yeah.
We last 2 weeks we haven't really seen the central bank buying that characterized a lot of the move. So we're kind of waiting for them to step in. Maybe they were waiting, like we are, for the Fed decision today to say, okay, that's done. Now that's, cutting interest rates is normally good for gold, right? But we don't normally cut interest rates when inflation is still on the way up or rising. Is inflation rising? Not really. So maybe if the Fed is comfortable with it 3% and it's going to fall down slowly, they can cut rates again. That's supportive of gold, right?
Right.
So we're watching out now for the press conference to begin, right? For Chair Powell.
The press is about to start in 9 minutes. Yeah. So we're going to switch over to that and hear Jerome Powell gives his thoughts. And one more thing, last but not least, let's have a look at the Tech Crowd Alpha Light, which is the sentiment strategy this year. 49% steady, consistent trading currencies. And yeah, nevertheless, we've done amazingly well this year. So well done to all of our clients, everybody involved with tech. Thank you for being part of our journey to make history again and again and again and again. So I switched back to the gold chart, and gold now is trading at $3,987, Tim. No reaction as such. It seems like as if there was no rate cuts. What's happening there?
If we're in a retracement and we've come a long way to that 4375 peak, if you look at the chart, it's a double top there at 4375. So that's a technical formation. For those of you who are studying technical analysis, go and look that up in your book. A double top. It means a place where psychologically there were first time sellers, and then the second time it got there were sellers who followed the first time. So that means it's very strong resistance. So it's been quite logical. It's almost quite nice, unless you bought at that top, for gold to retrace. If you bought on the very top, then obviously things are a little difficult. Now, could we go down a bit further? If you start measuring the retracements, probably the first retracement target is 3790, which is a little bit below where we are today, right? So let's see. But we could go either way. Of course, if the central banks come in now and just put on their buying machine, then we can go straight higher from here. But let's see what Powell says. If he's dovish and it's supportive of rate cuts next month as well, then yeah, gold can still go higher. Question is it buy on dips or buy on a break? I think I would still like to buy on dips. But if I can get long again around 3790, that's where I'd start buying again.
Absolutely good. It seems like we're having a technical issue. We've lost your image. The team is working on fixing it. Bear with us a second, Tim.
All right.
And the press is about to start in 6 minutes.
So now all those journalists that were summoned to the Federal Reserve to be able to release the news when it first came out, they've all been locked up in a room ready to hear the words of Chair Powell. So he normally makes a short speech first, and then he'll have a lot of questions coming from those journalists from Bloomberg, CNBC, Reuters, the Wall Street Journal, the Financial Times of London. He'll have to sit there and answer all their questions about his future, as well as the future of interest rates. So it's not an easy press conference to handle, this one. I'm not sure he enjoys it, but he's often good at it. But we just need to watch out for what he says now compared to what he did to see if they match up. Because sometimes they could be dovish by cutting the rates, but he could be slightly hawkish in what he says at the press conference. So now we'll find out what he thinks about the pathway for interest rates. And it's the press's chance to ask a lot of questions.
All right, Tim, we're facing a technical issue with your screen. We're gonna have to disconnect you for a minute. Sorry about that. So please do it.
Okay, disconnect me, baby.
We'll be back in a minute. Do you disconnect the HDMI? حاجتين بس. يا جماعة الخير، الأسواق الآن كلها متوترة تنتظر القرار، والقرار طلع تخفيض الفائدة ب25 نقطة أساس، والآن عندنا البريس كونفرنس. راح نشوف، أنا أتوقع الحركة القوية راح تصير في البريس كونفرنس. أو على اللابتوب. الذهب الآن في حالة تذبذب، مفروض خفض قرار الفائدة يكون داعم للذهب، بس أنا توقعي الشخصي زي ما شفنا 17 سبتمبر ما شفنا ردة فعل للأسواق على طول في نفس الوقت، لكن حصلت بعدها بكم يوم أو 3 أيام لما شفنا فعالية القرار، وشفنا الذهب سوى قمم تاريخية بعد قمة بعد قمة بعد قمة تاريخية. الآن هذا الشيء راح يعيد نفسه أو لا الله أعلم، لكن هيستوريكلي معروف تاريخيا الذهب كل ديسمبر كل شهر 12 يكون بولش. عموما قبل ما نصلح المشكلة مع مستر تيم، we're looking at the DXY chart. ممكن نشيل الشاشة السوداء حقته هنا. looking at the dollar now is gaining some strength. No immediate effects. to gold, out to the dollar. And as you can see, number of rate cuts, according to Clashy, is going to be exactly 3 cuts. We've got 2 more cuts coming in November. Oh, sorry, in December. So that's interesting. Let's see what's going to happen now with the Pressy. Let's see what might come up, what Jerome Powell has to say about his decision. Obviously, he's been getting hammered by Trump, right, left, and center. Trump been hammering him. So what is going to happen now? Is he going to hold his ground as always? And, you know, he's been doing a great job, really, so far. You know, he's very confident. His answers on point. And, you know, I feel sorry for him because Trump been really hammering him right, left, and center. But let's see what's going to happen today. What's Jerome Powell going to say? Respond to the questions. Technical issues fixed?
Okay.
No, we're just fixing it, Tim. We've got a great team actually working on all these issues, fixing it now at the moment. And we're waiting for the Pressy.
If you thought the algos were good, you should see what the video team does. Well done, guys.
No, please. Nobody can beat the algo. Now here comes the good afternoon in 1 minute. In 1 minute, we're about to hear Jerome Powell with his good afternoon. And I'm going to be interested to see what's going to happen to gold. Okay, welcome back, Tim.
All right.
Welcome back. You're back on screen.
Fed board member Moran, if you remember, he was put on the board by Trump. He wanted 50% basis points cut last time. He wanted the same this time, and he didn't get it. So he's a dissenter. And then there's another dissenter who wanted the rates to be unchanged. So a little bit of indecision there in the Fed, but mostly they came out for 25 basis points. But now you can see the press are gathering in the conference room at the Fed, waiting for Chair Powell to come on stage.
And are we going to hear the same comments again? Commitment to fighting inflation, but the data is frozen because of the shutdown. How can you fight inflation with no data? That's the real question, Tim. I think if I was there, I would probably ask that question. So let me ask you these questions, Tim. In hindsight, if you were there in the presser, what would you ask him?
I would ask him, oh, here he goes. We're ready. He's on stage. Handing over to you, Chair Powell.
At the start of 2025, you would have been hopelessly
Bloomberg is a bit
market.
slightly.
Has been earnings. What's mattered to the man that's about to step into that room is the step down in payrolls. So the market gets the best of both worlds, gets the earnings one and gets the interest rates reduction as well, too. And the man who's about to step into the room is going to deliver potentially another 25 basis point cut at the end of the year. That's the reason why so many people right now have been bullish this equity market. Equities into this
climate and inflation. Today, the Federal Open Market Committee decided to lower our policy interest rate by a 1/4 percentage point. We also decided to conclude the reduction of our aggregate securities holdings as of December 1. I will have more to say about monetary policy after briefly reviewing economic developments. Available indicators suggest that economic activity has been expanding at a moderate pace. GDP rose at a 1.6% pace in the first half of the year, down from 2.4% last year. Data available prior to the shutdown show that growth in economic activity may be on a somewhat firmer trajectory than expected, primarily reflecting stronger consumer spending. Business investment in equipment and intangibles has continued to expand, momentum, while activity in the housing sector remains weak. The shutdown of the federal government will weigh on economic activity while it persists, but these effects should reverse after the shutdown ends. In the labor market, the unemployment rate remained relatively low through August. Job gains have slowed significantly since earlier in the year. A good part of the slowing likely reflects a decline in the growth of the labor force due to lower immigration and labor force participation, though labor demand has clearly softened as well. Although official employment data for September are delayed, available evidence suggests that both layoffs and hiring remain low, and that both households' perceptions of job availability and firms' perceptions of hiring difficulty continue to decline. In this less dynamic and somewhat softer labor market, the downside risks to employment appear to have risen in recent months. Inflation has eased significantly from its highs in mid-2022, but remains somewhat elevated relative to our 2% longer-run goal. Estimates based on the Consumer Price Index suggest that total PCE prices rose 2.8% over the 12 months ending in September, and that, excluding the volatile food and energy categories, core PCE prices rose 2.8% as well. These readings are higher than earlier in the year as inflation for goods has picked up. In contrast, disinflation appears to be continuing for services. Near-term measures of inflation expectations have moved up on balance over the course of this year on news about tariffs, as reflected in both market and survey-based measures. Beyond the next year or two or so, however, most measures of longer-term expectations remain consistent with our 2% inflation goal. Our monetary policy actions are guided by our dual mandate to promote maximum employment and stable prices for the American people. At today's meeting, the committee decided to lower the target range for the federal funds rate by a quarter percentage point to 3.75% to 4%. Higher tariffs are pushing up prices in some categories of goods, resulting in higher overall inflation. A reasonable base case is that the effects on inflation will be relatively short-lived, a one-time shift in the price level. But it is also possible that the inflationary effects could instead be more persistent, and that is a risk to be assessed and managed. Our obligation is to ensure that a one-time increase in the price level does not become an ongoing inflation problem. In the near term, risks to inflation are tilted to the upside and risks to employment to the downside. A challenging situation. There is no risk-free path for policy as we navigate this tension between our employment and inflation goals. Our framework calls for us to take a balanced approach in promoting both sides of our dual mandate. With downside risks to employment having increased in recent months, the balance of risks has shifted. Accordingly, we judged it appropriate at this meeting to take another step toward a more neutral policy stance. With today's decision, we remain well positioned to respond in a timely way to potential economic developments. We will continue to determine the appropriate stance of monetary policy based on the incoming data, the evolving outlook, and the balance of risks. We continue to face two-sided risks. In the committee's discussions at this meeting, there were strongly differing views about how to proceed in December. A further reduction in the policy rate at the December meeting is not a foregone conclusion. Far from it.
Oh my God!
Policy is not on a preset course.
Allah.
At
Tim, are you
today's
seeing
meeting, the
what's
committee
happening
also
with gold?
decided to conclude the reduction of our aggregate securities holdings as of December 1. Our
Oh my
long-stated plan has
God!
been to stop balance sheet runoff when reserves are somewhat above the level we judge consistent with ample reserve conditions. Signs have clearly emerged that we have reached that standard.
Wow.
In money markets, repo rates have moved up relative to our administered rates, and we have seen more notable pressures on selected dates, along with more use of our standing repo facility. In addition, the effective federal funds rate has begun to move up relative to the rate of interest on reserve balances. These developments are what we expected to see as the size of our balance sheet declined and warrant today's decision to cease runoff. Over the 3.5 years that we've been shrinking our balance sheet, our securities holdings have declined by $2.2 trillion.
Oh my God!
As a share of nominal
What's
GDP,
going on?
our balance sheet has fallen from 35% to about 21%. In December, we'll enter the next phase of our normalization plans by holding the size of our balance sheet steady for a time, while reserve balances continue to move gradually lower as other non-reserve liabilities, such as currency, keep growing.
Oh my God!
We will continue to allow agency securities to run off our balance sheet and will reinvest the proceeds from those securities in treasury bills,
انا جالس
Furthering
اضرب يا
progress
جماعه
toward a
مع
portfolio
الخبر،
consisting primarily of treasury securities.
جالس
This
ضارب
reinvestment
سريع،
strategy
فاهم؟
will
حل
also
اللي
help
يقوله
move the
يخش
weighted
واطلع
average
بسرعه.
maturity of our portfolio closer to that of the
Remember,
outstanding
it's not
stock
just what he
treasury
says, it's
securities,
the question
thus furthering
the
the
journalists
normalization of the composition
that
of
often
our balance
send
sheet.
him in different directions.
Yes,
So
correct.
has
watch
been
out
assigned
when the questions
two
start.
goals
Yeah.
for monetary
Correct.
policy: maximum employment and stable
فهمت
prices.
جالس
US equity
يقول؟
markets getting sold off
الحركه
a
راح
little
تبدا
bit.
لما
Supporting
نبدا يسالون الاسئله.
maximum employment,
الان
bringing our
هذا اللي جالسين
inflation
نشوفه
sustainably to our
بس
2%
تحميه.
goal and keeping
الحركه
longer-term
كلها
inflation
راح تبدا
expectations well
مع
anchored.
الاسئله
Our
with the
success in
questions.
delivering on these goals matters to all Americans. We understand that our actions affect communities, families, and businesses across the country. Everything we do is in service to our public mission. We at the Fed will do everything we can to achieve our maximum employment and price stability goals.
Yeah.
Thank you. I look
Dow
Oh
Jones
my
is down
God! Look at
slightly.
gold.
Nick Timmeros of the Wall Street Journal. Chair Powell, are you uncomfortable with how market pricing has assumed a rate cut is a foregone conclusion at your next meeting?
Well, as I just mentioned, a further reduction in the policy rate at the December meeting is not a
Well,
foregone
last
conclusion,
time
as I've just
gold
said.
held
So,
around the
I would say that needs to be taken
75,
forward.
95 level.
We had, just say this,
If it breaks there, then
19
we probably will
participants on
see
the
that
committee.
3790
Everyone
level.
works very hard at this and takes their obligations to serve the American people very seriously. And at a time
Dow
when
Jones
we
is
have
up at
tension
high,
between our
Nasdaq's
two
up at
goals,
high.
we have, strong
Nasdaq
views
stronger
across the
against
committee.
the
And as I mentioned, there were strongly differing views today. And the
Nasdaq's the one
takeaway
to
from
worry
that is
about,
that we
because
haven't made a decision.
Any
yet
of
in December.
those maximum
And we're going to be looking at the data that we have,
reduce
how that affects the outlook
they
and
need.
balance of risks. And I'll just
That's
say
a
that.
huge part of the index, those 7 stocks, right?
Last month, and maybe
This week we had a really unusual situation
as a risk
Oh,
in the
management
S&P.
look at Nasdaq.
At what point do you
Gold,
conclude that
Nasdaq,
you've
Tim,
taken
what's
out enough
going
insurance? Are you looking
on?
for some kind of improvement
So
in the outlook?
the market seems to have taken
Could this
that
unfold along
inflation
the lines of last year,
comment from
where you
Powell
made a sequence of
but it
adjustments
remains
and you waited
somewhat
to gather
elevated.
more information?
and wondering about, now the journalist questions are asked.
Have been thinking.
And
I've
it's
been thinking.
Powell's
about
good
it.
friend at the Wall Street Journal who's
The-
asking the first
the
question,
risks
right?
to the two goals for a very long time. The risk was clearly of higher inflation, and then that has changed now. And as we saw,
my God.
particularly after the July meeting, we saw downward revisions in job creation. We saw a very different picture.
Someone
of the
is
labor
saying,
market and
sell,
suggested that
target
there were
3,908.
higher downside risks to the labor market than we had thought, and
Yeah.
that suggested
No.
that policy
لا
which we
تقامروا يا
had been
جماعة.
holding at a I would say modestly, others people would say moderately.
But at some point, if I'm a central bank
More in the
and I see gold back
over
down to
time.
3,800,
If the two goals are sort of
why wouldn't I
equally
start
risk,
buying
then
again
you
if I
ought to
still
be
believe it's
extra
going
because
higher?
one of them's calling for you to
So
hike and one
although
of
we
them's
might
calling
get a
for you to cut.
final sell-off,
So if that got
there
back
will be
to balance,
buyers
then
lower
you ought
down.
to be
We see the
roughly
retracement level.
So in that
Try to
sense,
pick
it
up,
was a
keep
risk
gold down.
management. And I would say the same about today, sort of the same logic. But as I mentioned, going
So the
forward,
question is,
a different.
today, are some people going to get pushed out of their gold positions? Sometimes
Looks
when you
like
have a
it.
fall in the equity
Claire
market,
Jones, Financial
people
Times.
are forced to sell
thank you
gold
for
if
taking
they
this
get a margin
question.
call on their equity positions.
You know, we've
So
just heard from
sometimes gold
you
has to
that
take the
the
pressure
the discussion in
of a sell-off
December
because
and the
people
conclusion
have
of
to
the discussion is
liquidate,
not a foregone
raise margins
conclusion.
for their other
I'd like
positions.
to just dig into that. a
Well,
little
I'm
bit
luckily.
more
I
about
just want to. I
what
just
sort
want to
of
take the moment to
arguments were
address
brought up.
something
Was
to make
there
it very clear
any
for our
consideration,
audience.
for
Maybe some of our
instance,
clients are watching. Or
the investment we're seeing in AI and some of the generation of household wealth through rises in stock prices?
We are
related
not
to
trading.
the AI boom. Thank you.
all the
I wouldn't
trades
say
are disabled on all
a
of our
factor in everyone's assessment of the economy. I wouldn't say
clients'
it's a
accounts.
driving factor. I don't think
there is
for
no
anybody.
trades that are taking place.
I guess I
ما
would say it
نتداول
this
احنا في
way. Once
حسابات
again,
في
I would
حسابات
just point
النواسخ
out
ولا
that we
حسابات
have the
المحافظ
situation
العملاء
where
فيها
the risks are to
ما
the
نقامر
upside
في
for
هذه الايام
inflation
وما
and
نتداول
to
وقت
the
الاخبار.
downside for employment.
احنا جالسين نطلع
We have
نسوي لنا
one
تحليل
tool. You can't
فقط.
do both of
في
those. You
حسابات
can't address
العملاء
both
اذا
of those
انتاح
at once.
معنا
You've got a very
عميل
different
نام
situation.
مرتاح
So
امورك
you
طيبه.
have some people have
Wow.
different forecasts, right? So they'll forecast faster or slower progress
my
on one or the
God.
other, and they also have different levels of risk
Look,
aversion.
sometimes
And,
the secret to risk management
some will be
is
more
to do
averse
nothing,
to
to sit on your hands, not
inflation
buy or
Right.
sell, but to be
overruns, and
square.
some will be more averse
So
to
these days where you get
employment. And so you
unusually
put that together,
high
and
sudden
as you can see
movements
from the SEP,
are
from
not the best day
discussion that goes
to
on
be
between the
trading.
meetings when
For a lot of people,
Yo,
it's a
participants
two-way
go on the
bet,
call,
right?
very
look at
disparate
this,
views,
We go up,
and
we
they
go
were
down.
reflected in strongly different
oh
views
my
in today's meeting, as I pointed out
God.
in my remarks. And that's what leads me to say that, that
Are
we
you
haven't made a
seeing this?
decision about
Yeah.
Yalla
December. I
beef.
always say that. It's a fact that we don't make
Look
decisions
at
in
this
advance. But this
candle,
is,
like
I'm
a
saying something in
carrot.
addition here, is that it's not to be seen as a foregone conclusion. In fact,
I'm
far
looking at the
Once, it's not a
DXY.
Trump. It's not a
Just a
Trump
quick
camera,
follow-up
right?
QT. How much of the fund impressions we've
Wow.
seen in money markets are related to the US Treasury
Candle, it's not
issue
really
of
a
more
Trump candle.
short-term debt?
Crazy.
Yeah,
Are you
that could be
seeing
one of the
this?
factors, but
He's
the
asleep.
reality is we've seen, the things that we've seen, higher repo rates and federal funds rate moving up. These are the very things that we see, that we look for. We actually have a framework for looking at, what
So let's
the
see
place
if
we're
dollar
trying to
yen
reach.
tops
What we
out.
said
Maybe there'll be
for
some
a long time
intervention
now is
around
that
the
when we
153 level.
feel like
That's
we're a little bit or a
been
bit
the previous
above
high since the new
what
prime
we
minister
consider a
came
level
in.
that's ample,
And
that
it's
we
just
would freeze the size of the balance sheet.
bounced
You know-
back down
Reserves will
to
continue to decline from that point forward
152.75
as
off
non-reserve liabilities
153.15
grow.
again.
So this
So
happened.
maybe there's some relevance
Some of
to that
it, some
level.
things have been happening for
It's
some
crazy.
time now, showing a gradual tightening in money market conditions. Really, in the last, call it 3 weeks or so, you've seen a
And the
more
equity
significant
markets are
tightening,
off
and I
their
think a
low.
clear
They
assessment
bounced
that,
a little
Oh
bit.
we're
my
at that place.
God.
The other thing is,
Now they've got to listen
So-
to the rest of his
the balance
answers
sheet
to work
at a
out
very,
what
very
his true
slow
stance
pace
is.
now. We've reduced it by half.
So do you
twice.
think, Tim, do
And
you
so
think
there's not
the
a lot
gold
of-
party is over for this year, for 2025?
No, I think it's just where the party starts from again. If we have a full retracement, we could go down to 3790.
3790, yeah.
Yeah, that would be an appropriate retracement in traditional technical analysis from the high of the double top at 4375. So if we're going to make it to Goldman Sachs' target of 8,000, somewhere some more buying has got to be done. So are the central banks finished with their buying? Now we need to watch out for where the central banks start buying again. Will they wait for the whole retracement to be done, or will they step in earlier? What would be great for any big buyer who is buying tons and tons of gold is to be buying when everyone else is selling. Remember what we say, be buying when everyone else is crying, be selling when everyone else is yelling, right? So when everyone else is crying because they've got to get out of their gold position, that's where I want to buy, right?
Yeah, our Russian friend is trading.
Yeah, okay.
I just
Yeah.
got this now, and he's long in euro dollar, and I'm looking at the euro dollar candle dropping like a knife. I want to fly to Russia right now.
Yeah,
Oh,
maybe
my
take some
goodness.
of the new tick stress balls with you for him. He's going to need them this week if he's doing that.
Oh, goodness me, goodness me,
Yeah.
goodness me.
Markets have come off a bit, but starting to stabilize a bit now. You're seeing the price action stabilize a bit now.
It's cooling down a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
You know,
my
as
God.
you said, at the last meeting, it took a couple of days for them to digest his speech,
Yeah, right.
see which words he took out, what new words are in there before they really decided the decision. And, equity markets, if they did take a bit of a correction. I mean, there's an interesting statistic, right? The commentators this week were talking about what they call the breadth issue of the S&P index. So the S&P index has 500 stocks in it, right? And those 500 stocks, 398 went down this week and 104 went up. Even though the index itself ended up higher, more stocks were down than up. That shows you that there's a very small percentage of stocks that are going up, and we know their names. It's the Microsofts, the Metas, the Apples, the Amazons, the Nvidia. Nvidia hit 5 trillion in value this week. Apple's over 4 trillion. Microsoft, after a reorganization, is 4 trillion in value. These big companies are what drives these indexes, not the smaller ones. And the smaller ones used to be big companies, but these are mega companies now. We've got to a new level of company, a new level of efficiency, and this is what we're going to have to put up with. But if they crack, if their earnings are not what's expected after the bell today, that could be a major problem for the indexes. So just be a little bit careful if you're out there. These are all-time highs in the markets. The valuations are stretched. Just be a little bit careful on the equity side, I would say.
And back now to Jerome Powell.
You know, forecasters
We can see euro
broadly
dollar
have raised their
declining
economic
very
growth
sharply.
forecasts for this year and next year, in some cases quite materially. In the meantime,
Gold,
we see
the
a
same.
labor market
The
that's
switch
kind
from
of,
C to DXY.
I
What's
don't want to
happening
say
with the dollar?
stable, but it's
Dollar is getting some.
It's not
Wow.
clearly in motion.
Wow,
It's
wow,
not
wow,
clearly
wow,
declining
wow, wow.
quickly in any case. It may be just continuing to
This
gradually
is
cool.
absolutely
And again, people
insane.
they have different forecasts and expectations about the economy and different risk tolerances. And so there's you read the SEP, you read the speeches, there are differing views on the committee, and to the point where I said what I said.
Just to follow up on the balance sheet, if you stop at the runoff now, does that mean you have to go back to actually adding assets sometime next year so that the balance sheet doesn't shrink as a percent of GDP and become a tightening factor?
So you're right. The place we'll be on December 1 is that the size of the balance sheet is frozen. And as mortgage-backed securities mature, we'll reinvest those in treasury bills, which will foster both a more treasury balance sheet and also a shorter duration. So that's what, in the meantime, if you freeze the size of the balance sheet, the non-reserve liabilities, currency, for example, they're going to continue to grow organically. And because the size of the balance sheet is frozen, you have further shrinkage in reserves. And reserves is the thing that we're managing that has to be ample. So that'll happen for a time, but not a tremendously long time. We don't know exactly how long. But at a certain point, you'll want to start reserves to start gradually growing to keep up with the size of the banking system and the size of the economy. So we'll be adding reserves at a certain point, and that's the last point. Even then, we didn't make decisions about this today, but we did talk today about the composition of the balance sheet, and there's a desire that the balance sheet be right now it's got a lot more duration than the outstanding universe of Treasury securities, and we want to move to a place where we're closer to that duration. That'll take some time. We haven't made a decision about the ultimate endpoint. But we all agree that we want to move more in the direction of a balance sheet that more closely reflects the outstanding treasuries, and that means a shorter duration balance sheet. Now, this is something that's going to take a long time and move very, very gradually. I don't think you'll notice it in market conditions, but that's the direction of things.
I did. When others check. By the time I stopped it, it had already one position.
Interpreting the latest CPI report. So some components came in lower than expected, but core inflation was still at 3%. So at this moment, what are you learning about the drivers? And also, do you view that the risks are greater that the Fed makes a mistake on employment or inflation?
So the September CPI report, we didn't get PPI after that, which is important for translation into what we look at, which is PCE inflation. But we can still make a pretty good assessment of what that will be. When we get PPI, there might be some adjustments. But so directionally, it was a little softer than expected, and we always break it down into the three components. So basically, you've seen goods prices increasing, and that's really due to tariffs. And that's compared to a longer run trend of very, very mild deflation in goods. So that's moving inflation up.
Crazy.
Good news that housing services inflation has been coming down and is expected to continue to come down. So if you remember a couple of years ago, that's the one that we kept expecting it to do that now.
Did he say that December cut?
That leaves the biggest category.
Not foregone conclusion.
Housing services. And that's kind of been moving sideways over the last few months, but a significant.
Yeah, that's running on some of the news services.
And we don't take a lot of signal.
CNBC just posted it.
Economy from that.
The December rate cut.
A couple things to say.
Not foregone conclusion. That means U.S. Treasuries,
is actually
which were below 4%,
2% goal.
most of this week. We've gone back towards 4 level again, even though interest rates are cut. So remember they cut the rate range today from 3.75 to 4, from 4 to 4.25. The rates are come back a little bit to the top of that new range, 4. So just means there's a little bit of uncertainty about the December rate cut. That could be difficult.
It could be very difficult indeed.
Increase further.
Yeah.
But it is that it will be a one-time increase, and
we've to see the effect of that
all of this year at making sure
that equity markets have bounced back. The Nasdaq bounced back stronger than the Dow Jones so far.
Through which it could become something else.
Gold's hovering at 3955.
A really tight labor market. We don't see that. I know the
price it kind of opened at this morning in our time.
So I think we're watching this very carefully.
Maybe things will hold.
It's not the case that we're just assuming.
And I'm in a position now in gold.
We understand fully this is a risk we have to monitor and ultimately manage.
Is it time to get the big buying boots on in gold?
What are some of the things
that
the Fed could do to address that?
No. Put your small buying boots on if you want to buy here.
Labor supply.
Give yourself some space to buy if it goes lower.
The stubborn services inflation that you mentioned.
Services inflation, yeah. Well, again, the part of services inflation that isn't coming down as we would like it to is the non-market part of non-housing services. And overall, that's just something that we expect will come down. The non-housing
volatility is crazy right now. Very, very crazy.
Stock prices and I mean financial services.
Yeah, it's easy for people to get sucked in
rather than actually.
Really. So I need to get out before I get sucked in.
Right.
We think policy is still modestly restrictive in my telling. So that's the kind of thing.
I mean, even if you try to close your order right now, let's say if you close the profit of $60, for instance. You're gonna close. It's gonna get close. Oh my God!
Modestly restricted, so that should also help get that. I want to say though, we're absolutely committed to returning inflation to 2%. If you look at longer-term surveys or market pricing, you will see that's a credible commitment.
If you saw the drawdown I had for a minute,
that's
you wouldn't believe it. I just escaped. Guys, don't try this at home.
So there's a big investment boom in AI infrastructure right now. As you know, wondering if the existence of such a boom would indicate that rates are not that restrictive after all, and could further rate cuts at this point perhaps fuel an excess level of investment there or market levels. How is the Fed thinking about that?
Don't trade news, guys, because look. If you trade news, that means you're a gambler.
There are a lot of data centers being built and other investments being made around the country and around the world. Big U.S. companies are just investing a lot of resources in thinking about how AI, which will be based
the danger in the Powell press conference is that he can give one answer to one journalist. And a different answer to the next journalist. So
and then the price
the rates move
on
either way on that, right? So
absolutely,
normally the big banks and the big trading companies, they wait until he's said everything he's going to say. Then they start digesting it and cutting it up and seeing what he really said and seeing what they think. So sometimes that takes them 1 or 2 days, and that's why you sometimes get that sort of slightly jittery but nothing going on position for 2 days, and then the market decides, okay, we understand it, now we're going in this direction.
Jobs data that's out there,
because they have to make big decisions on the basis of what they think monetary policy is going to be, right?
So it's a lot of
very likely decision. So
government data, but
it might be much better for Powell to keep his powder dry and say, well, I might cut rates in December, I might not. That doesn't help the banks, the big players. Because there's still 2 months of the year to go, right? A lot of these big equity funds haven't got the performance that we've got on our algos. And they've only got 2 months left to get their bonuses, right? You might see the markets melt higher on US equities just because everyone's got to pile in and buy and do something by the end of the year. This is a really dangerous situation, buying at these all-time highs. But sometimes money managers are forced to go into the market. That's where, we take a different approach. We won't risk clients' funds on these big days because we've made our money steadily over the month, right? We don't need to play on these days. We can wait for the market to stabilize and then look for some more opportunities. Yeah, there's still 2 months to go of the year. Probably by the middle of December, the market will slow down. It's been a big year for the markets, right?
Absolutely massive year.
Everyone will have had enough by the middle of December, right? So, whatever we've made by the 15th of December, that's probably it. And, we'll start again in January. But it's looking like a great year. So it's a lot to be proud of on the algo side this year.
Every scrap of data we can find, evaluated, and
100%.
think carefully about it, and that's our jobs. That's what we're going to do.
Knowing when not to trade is more important than trading.
The December meeting. I'm not saying it's going to, but yeah, you could imagine that what do you do if you're driving in the fog? You slow down.
So one to watch over the next couple of months is sterling against the US dollar. We call it cable. The reason we call it cable is because once upon a time there used to be a different price in New York to London, and then they connected the two countries with an undersea cable, a telecom cable, so the same price could be displayed simultaneously in both centers. So traders started calling it "what's cable," because they could see where the price was coming from. We've got the same price in New York and the same price in London. So poor Rachel Reeves, the Chancellor, she's got her budget coming up on the 26th of November. She might have to put our taxes up. That's a ouch. She promised she wouldn't, but maybe she'll have to do it. So we could still see sterling coming under pressure. Maybe a lower range of sterling, between 123 and 135. Whereas before it was maybe 127 to 139. So maybe a lower range.
Yeah, it's currently trading at 1.31728.
Yeah, this is the lowest we've been for a few weeks now. So people are starting to get the idea. We were talking about this a couple of weeks ago when it was 133, 134. So yeah, more pressure on sterling, unfortunately.
Yes, it could absolutely have implications for job creation.
I mean, sterling would have been in
the initial
this pressure since that lady cried in the parliament.
It takes some time for it to get in there, but
Liz Truss, the lettuce, as they called her in the Daily Star newspaper, right?
Have they called her that?
They said that a lettuce bought from the supermarket would last longer than her as Prime Minister. And it was true. She was out after, I think it was less than 40 days. And if you remember, that was a huge leap in gilts, which are the bonds that the government uses to fund itself. People put the prices of those gilts up. So the price of funding our deficit became very high very quickly. So that was a huge vote of no confidence in her as a leader, and her Chancellor, Kwasi Kwarteng. They only lasted a few days, and then Jeremy Hunt had to step in, and Rishi Sunak.
Thank you, Edward Lawrence with Fox Business. So, Mr. Chairman, I want to take another crack at the further
looks like the equity markets are stabilized.
December, you said
gold,
far from it. So
gold is bouncing back
for December because of lack of data. What is the other concern?
Crypto stabilized. Did see a quite
so if it's not lack of data
below 110,
as the reason December is not a foregone conclusion.
Markets are stabilizing. They do.
The concern then.
Well, the perspectives of people on
trying to work out now what are the biggest.
We've now moved 150 basis points, and that we're down into you're into that range between 3 and most.
Although he says that it's focused on the employment
many
line.
estimates of
He may have still
stabilizing at all with his answer.
You're there now.
There's still some higher inflation. There's maybe higher tariffs that are going to push up the prices in some categories of goods. So this is where the market tries to find the balance in his comments. Which way is the balance leading? If it's some doubt about another rate cut in December, that'll be something for the market to worry about. When the market knows a piece of news, now today's piece of news is known, right? That's in the past. Now the market needs to think, okay, what do we worry about next? Oh, we worry about tariffs. That's inflationary. Oh, we worry that there might not be an interest rate cut in December. Oh, equities are very high on the valuation side. Ooh, that's where we start to worry.
Yeah.
So usually there's a first reaction, which is maybe a sudden move, and then there's more thought puts into it, and then we see the main move to come. So the next hour, 2 hours,
Just
could be the main move
$15.
coming.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly that, Tim.
Yeah. So gold.
So whatever is happening now is just really, really temporary. Thank you.
Yeah, I think we're going to have a main move still to come.
To doing the right thing to achieve our goals, maximum employment and stable prices. You have differences on.
Dollar yen is stuck now at 152.85. It kind of wants to try higher. Is it going to tackle that 153.15 level again and break through? What's the next level above that?
Euro dollar under
down,
some tremendous
under
pressure.
116. Yeah. Cable under pressure, 131.58 now.
And so we're at a place now where we have in fact cut 2 more times, and we're 150 basis points closer to neutral, wherever that may be, than we were a year ago.
So there's still an hour and a half to go before the equity markets close, and then after the bell, we get those earnings from some of the Mag 7. So watch out for that. Watch out for what happens to the big bet on AI. America,
Wow.
It's a one-way bet on AI. AI must succeed, right? For this
And that's
bet
what
to
they're
work.
going to do, right? To win this race, they're going to keep printing money, which is going to cause more inflation and more inflation. I mean, look at this chart, Tim. Wow. What's happening with euro dollar? Oh my God. Look at the DXY. Look at the euro dollar.
Yeah, so the markets come out on the side of not a definite rate cut in December in case there's some inflation. Yes, the employment market is of concern, which wouldn't normally be cutting rates while inflation is still strong. Remember, the Fed's target is 2%. It's still stuck at 3%. They can't accept that. So will they be cautious in December? The market's having a rethink here. And it's pushing dollar a little bit higher in most of the pairs. So gold down, dollar up. The gold pair, dollar up, yen down, yen dollar yen, and cable and euro dollar getting sold off. And my favorite, dollar CNH, gone back from 708 to 709, 75 again. So a little bit of dollar strength into this. I mean, this is the kind of condition where it's prime for a Trump comment, right? This is where Trump would normally come out and say,
yeah, has Trump said anything?
Not yet. He's asleep probably in Asia, getting ready for the big meeting tomorrow with President Xi, right?
Have he said anything?
Let's just watch out for some comments overnight, because he won't like it if interest rates are seen to be firm even after they cut rates, because he needs cheaper rates.
Nothing from Trump yet. Yeah, he's probably asleep. Last tweet was about 44 minutes ago.
He'll wake up earlier, right? Because it's 3 o'clock in the morning now in Singapore. And so
yeah, he was in South Korea earlier, you know?
Yeah, so in China, where they're going for the meeting, if that kicks off, that could be in about another 6 hours. So yeah, just after 1 o'clock London time, which is going to be around 5 o'clock in the morning with you in the Middle East. Watch out for some Trump comments on what Powell said. I don't think he's going to be wishing Powell a Merry Christmas or a Happy Thanksgiving, right?
No
It's going to be
chance.
more pressure, more pressure, more pressure. Fight, 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 right?
Fight, fight, fight. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness me. I mean, you know, have you seen that image when he's around, when he's sitting in his office and the European leaders are sat in front of him? They're all looking like they're sat naughty children. They're sat in a classroom. I mean,
the only person who's really stood up to Trump so far is either President Xi or the new Prime Minister of Canada, Mark Carney, who used to be the governor of the Bank of England, a very clever guy. And I think he's got something that he can use against Trump, or they're very determined in Canada, but it's not going to be good for the Canadian economy if these tariffs continue to be set. But Donald Trump, of course, started badly by saying, why doesn't Canada just become the newest state of the United States of America?
you know, I mean,
Canadians are proud people.
with no disrespect, when he's in the Middle East, when he's in Saudi Arabia, UAE, he's very, very respectful man. You know, he doesn't do his funny jokes. He doesn't try to do his, you know, bullying comments. But when he's among European leaders, he likes to flex. He likes to flex his muscles a little bit.
I don't think he necessarily, you know, wants
I mean,
to
the
defend
only
Europe or...
I mean, the only Western leader that I saw he actually respects and he behaves himself when he's around them was the late Queen.
Yes.
Really. There, you know, he behaves himself like a little boy. He knows his limit. He doesn't do his funny things, you know.
You know, when you meet the Queen, I haven't met her, so I don't know this personally, but when you meet the Queen, there's a protocol. And one of the things is that you must never touch the Queen. So
right.
When you see them inspecting the soldiers on parade and things like that, you must never push the Queen in front of you or direct her by, you know, pushing her in the back or something, just gently. If you see she's going to fall over, you can't jump out and save her almost. You're not supposed to touch the Queen. And clearly Trump had been told this because he nearly went to kind of just shepherd her along the line a bit because he's a big guy, right? And he couldn't see where she was. Is she behind me? Or like, oh, there she is. Oh, come in front, come in front. And then it just kicked in at the last minute. Oh, I mustn't touch her, right? You know, we're big on protocol in this country, right?
You know, and what's really a bit of a mind blowing here, we're going to have 3 more years of him. So are you ready?
Oh, yes. At least 3 more years. Until he appoints himself the king of America, right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, his staff tweeted an image about with a quote saying he's the king.
Look what Putin did, right? He just reinvented himself. How many terms of office has he had in Russia? That's got to be the model for Donald, right? To say, it's good to be the king again, and again, and again. And I don't mean handing over to JD or one of his sons. I mean, he wants it for himself, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if he didn't get the Nobel Peace Prize in these 5 years, he'd have to come back for another 5 years just to win that, right?
About 25 basis points here or there. You know, we use our tools to support the labor market.
Okay, looks like markets are calming down now.
That's what we do.
Yeah.
That's our 2 jobs.
I've just went on the Clashy website to see the Fed decision in December, the prediction.
Yeah.
And it's 71% of 20 basis points. And the odds of him going higher than 25 basis points is 3%. And what's shocking, which is a dramatic change to today's interest rates decision, the Fed, there is 30% bet on the Fed that maintains rate. Tim.
Unchanged in December, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's where you see the market opinion is changing in front of us. As Powell's speaking, it's moving on Clashy, right? The sentiment is changing, the opinion is changing. these predictive markets are so interesting because they can react so quickly, and it shows what a huge group of different people is thinking, because some people like to use these instruments to bet on outcomes of the market rather than trading the underlying instruments.
Right.
So maybe one day we'll have an algo that will trade on Kalash's odds rather than on financial market data. Have you thought of that?
I mean, anything is possible now in the world of AI.
Yeah.
But I like to stay out of betting and stuff, to be fair.
Sometimes this data can be built into the indicators that we use. So it becomes another source of data, another condition for a position in underlying instruments, right? That's the way forward.
Go into creating data centers and feeding the AI. It's clearly one of the big sources of growth in the economy. Consumer spending also, though, has been, is much bigger than that and has been growing and has defied a lot of, negative forecasts, continuing to do so this year. Now it may be mostly higher end.
DXY now is trading at $99.2090. It's going up and down, very, very crazy.
Yeah.
So if you're trading news, I'm sorry, you're gonna get stopped out really easy, because the price is gonna get back eventually to the point where you entered, and it's gonna swing the other way, $20-$30 move, and then goes back up, and you're just gonna get a margin call. So please don't trade news. Don't trade news. Don't gamble.
When was the last time the DXY was above 100? It's been under 100 for a long time now this year, right?
That's a very, very good question. The last time.
How far back do you have to go in the chart?
I think that was in. Let me have a look. The last time the DXY was above 100. Wow. Very good question, Tim.
Because I think it first broke under 100 when Trump sort of started talking about a weaker dollar.
It touched. So
it touched 100, but it never closed above, right?
So obviously, the last time it was above 100 was before the tariffs, right? It was before the tariffs war. And that, I think, was in March.
Yeah, because the first reaction about the tariffs was to sell dollars, right?
Yeah.
And so that's when DXY broke below 100, and it's been under 100 since, right?
Right. And the last time since then it touched 100 was on August the 1st. NFP. You might remember?
Yeah.
But
it never closed above, right?
No. And then on that day it touched 100, and then NFP guilty as chart dropped there from 100, and then since then it never touched 100 again.
Because DXY is a futures contract, right? And sometimes, do you know on CNBC you see that guy Rick, who's out in Chicago in the futures pits?
Yeah.
He sometimes interviews some of his old buddies who work in the futures pits. They're doing open outcry where they're selling and buying manually still, right, in the pits. And all of them were saying, that's it. The dollar's going to go weaker. It's not getting back above 100, right? So those guys have probably been selling DXY the whole year. But on the downside, it didn't really break much below 95 either, right? It's kind of stuck 96, 97 until recently.
Yeah, right. But today, it was a very push. It's a very, very strong push in terms of its strength and gaining back its momentum. I mean, the last time it was trading at 99 was 13 October. So today we went to the highest of 13 October.
You see, sometimes if people have got positions and they need to close them out, profit or loss, by the end of the year, you'll see a bit of squaring up as we go into the last 6 to 8 weeks of trading in the year. So it could be that some people were short at 99, 98, waiting for it to break lower. It never quite did. Cut it out and look again in January after the next Fed rate decision.
Right.
Whatever, you know.
One
So-
of the chat saying he made $80. He sold gold. توفيق بوم بوم مبروك يا معلم. سلاسل ارجع مش ادور. معلم يا توفيق مبروك. اطلع من السوق الله يرحم دينك. اقسم بالله حيرجع ياكل لك اياها $80 اللي طلعتها صدقني. فنصيحة لك اسمع من اخوك. السوق حيرجع ياكلها. قفل الميتافور والف مبروك. بوم. لانه حيجيك السوق وياكلها كذا.
Never wrong to take profit.
اطلع اقسم بالله حياكلها. ترى قبل شوي انا برضو اكلي. رجع شير سكرين. واو. Someone is saying buy gold. What buy gold حبيبي? What buy gold? Look خلاص the party is over bro. Party is over. What do you want to buy? Someone is saying buy gold. You know,
It's time for the after party in gold. Yeah.
I think so. I think we're gonna see gold rallying back up again. But like you said again, what did you call? You called 3,700 first.
I was saying 3790 or
Sounds
now,
reasonable.
that would be a full retracement. But if you think about it psychologically, if something goes up in price and then tops out and you have a retracement, there will always be levels of support where people who missed out on the first move want to get in. And that's what our listener is thinking about now. Buy gold, do I buy it here? What are my levels to do it? So you might want to get a retracement all the way down to 3790, but you might not get it because people jump in before the level, right? So if you can take some pain and you want to buy here, your stop loss should be well below 3790, right? And maybe you buy half your position, and if it goes down, you buy some more. If it goes up, okay, it was a great decision to do it. You took a bit of a risk today, but you didn't get stopped out, and now you're into the after party, you're into the next move higher. So that's always the difficult decision. And it's difficult for those central banks as well. Do the central banks start buying again here now? Or could it get a bit lower? Could it get a bit cheaper? Central banks don't care whether they bought
Here
it
is
at
the questions for our audience.
3966 or 3790, right? Because they're not buying for the next 10, 15, 20, $100, right? They're buying for the next $2,000, $3,000, $4,000.
Absolutely. And here's the question for our audience.
Yeah.
Because the guy who says buy gold, he just said just for fun, bro. What for fun, bro? When you get a margin call, it's not going to be fun and games anymore. Someone saying دخلت صفقتين شراء حلوين وعكس علينا صاحبي اقسم بالله راح يعكس علينا منقول. هنا السؤال. Here is the question, guys. Do you think central banks are going to buy from here or wait for a further drop? هنا السؤال بالعربي. هل تتوقع البنوك المركزية راح تشتري من هنا من هذه النقطة اللي نشوفها ولا راح ينتظرون هبوط أقوى من كذا؟ تم متوقع 3790. يقول هذا الريتريسمنت المنطقي لو نشوف على التشارت على التكنيكال اناليسيس التحليل الفني هذا الريتريسمنت المنطقي. So the question is البنوك راح يشتروا من هنا ولا راح ينتظروا دروب أكثر؟ Back to Jerome Powell. What is he saying? The good afternoon.
We have an economy that's growing close to 2%.
It's a long press conference this time.
Very long.
It's a good picture.
Lasted like nearly an hour now, yeah?
But
I mean, if you're Jerome Powell
we have
and you're going to be leaving in May 2026, you've only got 6 of these left to do, right?
For a central bank because
So it's like the last 6 days of school before you go out to work or go off to university, right?
we can't do both. So
It's painful, but there's only 6 left, right?
it's a challenging thing.
6 left.
Or
جماعة
going to
تدروا
the
باقي
dentist to have 6
6
teeth out.
Way through this process.
تصاريح لجيروم باول قبل ما تنتهي فترته الرئيسية. 6. We're gonna miss this guy. I'm gonna miss him seriously.
That makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, who's going to be next?
People are,
That's the question.
people who take their jobs very
Remember when we
seriously,
used to do our
very
podcast
opportunist,
in
they just want to do what's right for the American
2023?
people, but they have different
And he
views
was
on what
hiking
Yes.
rates?
And, you know, it's an honor to work on
Yeah,
people.
he was behind the curve then, they reckon, right? Now he's
Yeah.
behind the curve again when he should be cutting rates, according to
unfair
Trump, right?
or anything like that. It's just, it's a time when we're making
Can't win
difficult
always,
judgments
right?
in real time, and I believe we'll get through this.
Yeah,
And,
big
and
time.
I think we've done sort of the right
And
thing so far
now,
this year. I
are you
think
bu- are you
it was
trading?
appropriate for us to be careful about this. I think
You
it
lost?
would not be appropriate to just
Why?
ignore or assume away
What did you do? You
the
bought or you
inflation issue.
sold?
At the same time, I think the risk of
Oh my
higher, more
God.
persistent inflation has declined significantly since April. And if we
You
do
just
wind
traded
up
gold and you
resuming rate
lost.
cuts at some point, we will. at
You're a
some point.
donut.
You know,
Based
I
on
think
what?
we're trying
What
to
did you
get
did
to
you
the end
go
of this
long
cycle
or
with the labor market in a good place and with inflation, you know, on its way to 2% or at 2%. So that's all we're
Oh
trying
my
to do.
God,
We're
Tim.
doing it under, you know, quite challenging circumstances and doing the best we can.
That's okay.
Buy small, buy small.
Thank you so much, Chair Brown. Jennifer
It goes down.
Yahoo Finance. Both regional and large banks have taken losses on loans given delinquencies on subprime auction.
Okay, what's happening in equities? The Dow Jones is still
Diamond warned
a little bit under pressure, I'd have to say.
there may be
What's happening with the
likely-
Nasdaq?
I'm curious.
Nasdaq has bounced back a little bit. We're back above 26,000, maybe 26,100.
The outlook for the economy. is
Waiting for those after the bell results.
We're obviously we watch this.
If you're buying the Mag 7 at these high levels, you are brave. You are brave, my friends, if you're buying at this all-time high levels.
Yeah, for
going
real.
into the earnings season.
For
One
real.
little miss on the earnings
Significant losses and some of those
could
losses.
be
For
really
real.
nasty. So be careful out there if
You know,
you're
we're
doing this.
looking at it carefully.
Be
We're paying
careful.
close attention. I don't see at this point.
Is the party
broader
over now with
credit
gold?
issue. It doesn't.
It
seem
seems
to
like
be
it cooled
something
down.
that
شكله
has,
خلاص الشارت هدى.
very broad application across financial institutions. But
What do you think?
Markets are
Tim?
always difficult. It's always difficult to predict how far a correction will go, right? You've got the traditional percentages for Fibonacci, 38.2, the 50, the 61.8. And there's a couple of other levels in there if you read the book as well. So it's always, where's it going to end? To me, if it's a bull market, it shouldn't really go much below 38.2%
there's some
retracement. I don't want to see it go down the full 50% because then the trend is not as strong. If it ends before 38.2, that gives me even more confidence. But now's the difficult bit to predict where we're going to stop. We stopped the other day at 387595 area. Bounced back from there. Looks a little bit weak today. Where are we going to go down to next time if we go down? Are we going down below 3875 to 3790? So it's really hard. It's really hard. And this is where you need to keep your powder dry. If you're going to buy, just buy an incredibly small amount that you can hold. With the stop loss far away, you can add to the position as it goes down. Really, we want to be adding positions that are going in our direction, but we're not seeing a turnaround in momentum at the moment. The bullish momentum seems to have just lapsed really out of the market, which is normal. We've had a hell of a move in gold, right? Look how far it's come on the chart. It's a hell of a move. Nothing goes up. and
Press
up forever,
conference is officially over, Tim.
right?
The
Okay.
Fed has cut 25 basis points, which was really expected, really. I mean, my grandma could have predicted that from her grave. May she rest in peace. A drop in gold. Dollar is gaining momentum. I mean, look at this candle.
From the Federal Reserve,
Like for real.
The limited ability to guide
Euro
from here,
dollar.
and these comments from the chairman of the
Look
Federal
at the
Reserve. Take a
charts.
listen.
Look at the candles. The candles are literally twerking.
The December meeting is not a foregone conclusion. At a time when we have tension between our two goals.
Yeah, dollar's getting a bit of a lift again in dollar yen. We've stuck there. We didn't get back below 152.80.
And the takeaway from that is
Still under 153, but that 153.15 level looks like it could get challenged again.
how that affects the
Where will be the next level above there?
that.
A December
Really,
card
I really want to be short dollar yen, but I can't be short
It was
at
scripted.
these levels. I think there's the thing that
No.
I've learned over the years of dollar yen trading is that when you feel tempted to put a position on, think where your stop loss would be. So if I sold at 153, would my stop loss be 154? Then stop yourself, put your entry point at 154 and put your stop loss higher again. Because if you put it on at 153, you'd definitely be stopped out at 154. So be a little bit crafty and wait maybe till where your original stop loss level was and then put your position on. So yeah, my heart says sell dollar yen, but my head says not yet. Not yet.
Dollar yen, USD JPY. Tim predicts. Oh, his heart says بيع الدولار الياباني. USD yen. Someone saying, should I? Is it a buy? But you just said your heart says sell.
I'm a seller of dollar yen. I've made a lot of money this year. I sold it at 160, 161. It went down to 143. Then I lost some of that money selling at 145 and 148, and it went to 151 again. So I'm a seller, but I can't therefore buy for the short term here. If I was a short term player, I could buy a break of 153.15 and sell 50 points higher. But I'm waiting to sell for a slightly medium to longer term position. I'm also worried that Trump could come out while he's in Asia and say, oh, the dollar's a little bit high against the yen, and that's not what we talked about in our meeting, PM Takaichi. It's kind of, I can't imagine that Trump will say, yes, the yen should be weaker and we want a stronger dollar. He can like a strong dollar, but that's not stronger. He's not allowed maybe to say, I'd like a weak dollar, but he can say, I'd like a weaker dollar.
Exactly, and that's what you never know.
Yeah.
Well,
so it's probably a bit too late to start buying dollar yen for me at 153. If you're a short-term trader and you think 153.15 is going to break, then yeah, you can trade from the long side, but maybe short-term intraday and watch out for those comments in case he wakes up in 6 hours' time and looks at the markets and says, what? Dollar higher after an interest rate cut? No.
Very interesting. This was incredible. One of the craziest FOMC reaction we've seen. And I hope the audience have enjoyed this. If you liked it, please hit subscribe, follow us, join our Telegram channel to stay up to date with what's coming, what's dropping. We've got huge surprises coming soon, guys. You don't want to miss what's going on. And just a reminder, للتذكير كان لايف رياكشن حلو. سامحونا على الأخطاء التقنية. أول مرة نسوي لايف رياكشن مع الأخبار. عموما احنا ما شاء الله تبارك الله من ناحية أدائنا الحمد لله ما تأثرنا لأنه ما عندنا أي صفقات خاصة ما تداولنا وقت الأخبار ما نحب نغامر ونهايط. الحمد لله ما شاء الله تبارك الله. already في الذهب فوق 10%. في الصندوق الاستثماري حوالي 4%. في كل الاستراتيجيات ما شاء الله تبارك الله مادين أداء جدا جدا جميل. زي ما انتم شايفين ما غامرنا ما تهورنا ما قامرنا دائما احنا الأفضل. عموما أنا أتوقع الخاص ممكن الخبر الفائدة راح نشوفه ياخذ فعاليته زي المضاد الحيوي ما يضرب معاك على طول ياخذ شوية وقت لما يضرب في الجسم صح لا فأتوقع راح ياخذ شوية وقته المهم بعدين ما نشوف ردة الفعل زي ما صار في 17 سبتمبر الخبر لما طلع الخبر الذهب نزل بس بعدها ايش صار في الذهب فهذا هل راح يغير السيناريو ولا لا. One more thing Tim before we end this live. You know, historically speaking, gold loves December.
Yeah, if you look back in the charts, December comes after Deepavali, which is the big Indian festival where there's been a lot of buying of gold. Gold loves December because people love to give gifts, right? So physical gold demand is demanded in October, November, and December as Christmas buying kicks in, right? So who's the bigger buyer? the public that buy gold jewelry? Are you buying gold jewelry for your other half or for somebody who's done a good job? I can see a little smile on his face there. He's thinking about it, right?
No,
There
if
must
you're
be
asking me this
lots of
question,
people.
I thought you were asking the audience. No, not for me, mate.
Yeah, so out there in the audience, they're also smiling. Somebody's thinking about buying gold for their wife or something like that. I always say, if you are the demand, you are the direction, right?
Right.
If you are buying something, other people are thinking the same, and that creates demand and that creates movement. So is it better to buy some jewelry, or is it better to buy some gold on your margin account? Or is it better to put the money into our tick algo program and let that sort it out for you? You can always buy some jewelry for your wife out of the profits later, right?
Absolutely.
And you can tell her, darling, I've invested in gold. I've invested in gold, right?
Absolutely. So تاريخيا ديسمبر معروف للذهب. الذهب دائما يصعد في ديسمبر زي ما قال تيم في الاحتفال هذا عند الهنود، ويكونوا دائما هم يعيدوا بعض بالشراء في الذهب، فهذا بيسوي طلب عالي على الذهب وهذا يكون مفيد للذهب. فالسؤال انت، هل انت راح عندك تشتري للمدام ذهب، للوالدة، لاختك، لاي احد عندك ذهب او لا، او انك تقدر تستثمر معنا في استراتيجية الذهب ومن ارباحك تشتري لهم ذهب زي ما انتم شايفين هنا ما شاء الله تبارك الله فوق 61% والدرو داون 7.22%. والشيء الافضل والاحلى والاجمل من كل هذا، الذهب هذه السنه حقق 53%. احنا عدينا وتجاوزنا اداء الذهب لانه احنا نبيع ونشتري، ما احنا ماشيين خط واحد، نستفيد من التصحيحات اللي تصير ونصعد مع الصعود اللي يصير. Gold now, Tim is trading at 3,940. This is the lowest it has dropped since the rate cuts decision came out. Are we going to see it dropping further?
As I say, often what we get is the initial impulse move on the news. Then we get the digestion of the news, people thinking about it. What does it mean? Then we get the follow-on move. So you're seeing a follow-on move in gold at the moment, seeing a follow-on move in the Dow Jones. And even the NASDAQ, which had gone back almost to where it started before the news came out, is a little bit under pressure again now. Euro dollar cable still under pressure. Dollar yen, it's hovering just below 153. Maybe it's building up for a move through that 153.15 level. So, yeah, we're seeing the after move now. Bitcoin still under pressure. 110.5. Still under pressure. I don't know. I have a bad feeling that crypto, there's another squeeze out to come where people have to sell off and get stopped out around 102, 101, 100. And down there'll be some greedy institutions waiting to take your coins from you at bargain prices. So just watch out in crypto. It's still fragile, I think. If we get a move down in the NASDAQ.
Before I let you go, Tim, is the shutdown, the US government shutdown, is it going to carry on further? Or is it going to end?
It's hard to predict. I mean, people said it would be a short shutdown, right? Now it's 3 weeks we've been shut down.
Maybe longer.
They've worked out some way of paying. They paid some of the military, but you know, it's got to cut in sooner or later because we're coming towards Thanksgiving and Christmas, which is the time when people need money to see their families, to buy gifts and stuff like that, right? It'd be horrible if you worked for the government department and you haven't been paid for 2 months, right? So they've got to solve it, but it's politics, and you know Donald Trump's not solving it while he's in Asia, right?
Right. شكرا لكل اللي كانوا معنا في البث. الحسين راندوم كلكم على عيني وراسي. توفيق حبيبي كلكم everybody. مهدي حمود everybody. أشكركم. Thank you very much for watching this live. This was incredible. One of the craziest FOMC reactions I've done. We're going to do more of these reactions live. If you enjoyed this, subscribe, follow us, show us love. And the link to join our Telegram channel, contact our support if you're interested in our algos. is in the description, and we'll do this every major event, live, real, and raw, from the best in the industry. Thank you so much, Mr. Tim Finch. Appreciate your time.
Enjoyed it. Enjoyed meeting the Tick family as usual.
Yeah.
Tick family's getting bigger, right?
It's getting bigger, and one of the Tick family members goes by the name of Harpo. Did a gold trade, and now she's laughing. You're welcome, Sufyan. Sufyan says thanks for the live. Thank you guys for watching. Much love and guidance, and God bless, and I will see you soon. Peace.